Welcome back to the Driven to Succeed Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Olson, and today I have a returning guest for the third time, Mallory Johnson.
Hello, thank you for having me back. Always good to catch up with you.
Absolutely. It's always fun having you on the show. We've been following each other for a while now. I've watched your growth. It has been awesome.
Thank
I've
you.
seen some, this year, you've been pretty busy with listings.
Yes, it has.
Right?
Listing heavy, definitely this summer.
Well, that's as an agent, that's what you really wanted to get, right?
Right.
You want to get on that listing side and so forth. So good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
But today we wanted to talk about specifically what first-time home buyers or home buyers have, maybe some myths that are in the industry as far as like down payments, some different programs. So that's what we wanted to talk about today. And,
Right.
one of the first questions I have for you, Mallory, is when you meet with a client for the first time, what are some of the questions that you have? And
Sure. Some of the questions that I get is very heavy about money. And I think some of the first starter questions, do I need 20% down? And I think that has just been a myth in the industry for a long time. And a lot of people don't realize that you don't. You don't need 20% down. There are programs out there. There's, PMI insurance. And so then my next statement is, do you have a lender?
Yes. And you had mentioned an interesting comment just a little while ago about a lot of people think that, oh yeah, we'll put an offer in first and then we'll get a lender.
Yeah,
Right.
right. A lot of, especially new first-time buyers, they don't have the concept of how it all works and the order of things. And obviously, it's better to get the lender in early. So, like people wanting to move 6 months, a year out, like you got to call that lender immediately to help them get you on the right track and make sure that you have all your ducks in a row.
Absolutely. And as a lender, we definitely want to be in early because there's many, many times where there is a situation, they're 6 months to a year out. They just signed their lease, but they didn't want to this time, but they're not ready to buy a house yet. And they thought they had a 28% down, or the biggest ones are maybe they have questionable credit.
Right. That's a big one.
Yes. And like, hey, my credit's not great, well, that's where I can get involved, or a lender can get involved.
Yeah.
And, do, a soft pull or do a one bureau pull and kind of see where they're at.
Yeah,
Right?
kind of put them on the right track.
Correct. Because if there's times that you can take, where I've been able to take somebody from, let's say, a 580 score. If we got a year to work with, I mean, we should be able to get in the upper 600s as long as we have the right criteria.
Yes. Yeah.
But that makes a giant difference when it comes to being able to purchase the home, what loan programs are available, and what kind of loan costs there are.
Yeah, definitely.
You can buy a home at a 580 credit score with FHA. And you can put 3.5% down. In fact, you can even buy a home with a 500 credit score with FHA. You have to have 10% down, right? Not many programs out there for that. And not many lenders will do that because of just the whole criteria.
Sure.
So 580 is kind of the breaking point. So when helping clients, when you have those and you just say, hey, Brandon, like, can you look at this? And, whatever, we can talk and we can put them on that guide. Because a lot of times I've, looked at enough credit over 20 years and know the different ways that we can guide them, right? Plus we have guidance on the actual credit reports where it says you can be a 670 credit score if you do these things.
Yeah.
So it works well. With that, how often do they bring up like down payment assistance themselves, or is that something you're more like?
A lot of people don't even know these programs exist. So it's, knowing, and a lot of it is first-time home buyers, and with them, I make sure that I'm giving them recommendations of lenders who have these programs, because that is not my area of expertise. I know they exist, but outside of that, I know who to point them to.
Yes.
Like, call my guy Brandon.
Good. That is great because there's a lot of nuances to the programs, and there's a lot of different programs, and we're going to go over a few of them here today.
Good, because
And
I want to learn about them.
yes. And some of them change,
Mhm.
so you got to be very on your game. Some lenders don't even want to do them because there are complications with them, right? But let's first start with the 20% down. No, you don't need 20% down. In fact, conventional loans, you can go as low as 3% down if you are a first-time home buyer and or your income is below 100% of the 80% of the area median income. So if we're talking the metro area, Minneapolis, St. Paul, surrounding area, the AMI is like 123,000. So the 80% is like 105. So if you have a single person or even a couple and their income is below 105,000, you can do 3% down.
Hmm.
You get a lower interest rate. It's made for first time home buyers, lower down payment, lower interest rate costs, and lower rate, lower mortgage insurance cost as well.
Oh,
Like
wow.
there's a 25% coverage, which would be normally 5% down is like 30% coverage,
Yeah.
10%, 25 and beyond. But first time home buyers do get that extra. They do want first time home buyers.
Okay.
They want to help the affordability.
Yeah.
Okay.
That sure opens the door for a lot of people.
Yes. And when you're talking about 105,000, that's actually a significant amount of money. And the good thing with that is we've talked about affordability. How many times have you met with a client and it's like, oh my gosh, this, the house is $400,000, right?
Right. I know in the last few years since COVID, when the prices skyrocketed because interest rates were so low, now the prices are high and interest rates are high. So
Right.
affordability has really changed.
Yes. In fact, in 5 years, the affordability essentially went from $55,000 income could afford a single family home, right?
Yeah.
Now it can't, right?
Oh,
The income it's like 104,000 or 108. It's right in that 105 range.
yeah.
And then that price is $400,000 now. And we sure hope rates have come down quite a bit since 2023.
They have. Yes.
I mean, we were writing loans at like 8%. I didn't write many of them,
Oof.
but there was some that was 8%, 7.625, 7.75, 8.125. Like, and a lot of those people have already refinanced because the rates, I mean, it doesn't make sense to keep paying an 8% interest rate because we can get a refinance right now or a rate term in the sixes and so forth. So you can save $400 or $500 depending on loan size.
Yeah.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
The affordability that's been a big thing, but we do hope that the rates are going to come down. Conversely, you can also go FHA financing. So a lot of times, here's another myth. How many times have you heard people talk to you, ask you about FHA? Do people ask you about FHA or no?
Not really.
Okay.
I don't get I'll get a question here and there about it, but no, I don't think a lot of new people to this concept of buying a house understand it.
Okay. And the reason why I asked you that is just recently I've had a number of people that have really great credit and a lot of money in the bank, a lot of income, and they're asking, well, can I get the first time, like FHA first time home buyer program? I'm like, well, you can, because there's no qualifications around FHA.
Sure.
Anybody can get an FHA loan as long as it's their only FHA loan. But if you got a really high credit score, you're better off with a conventional loan.
Okay.
Period. Right. The difference is if your income, let's say you have $150,000 as a couple or whatever, now that 3% program is not available unless unless you truly are the first time home buyer. It is.
Okay.
But the loan costs are ridiculous. So the rate is a lot higher. The mortgage insurance goes to a 35% coverage. So showing somebody a 35 or 5% down loan versus 3% down. So if you can come up with 2%, say it's 400,000, that's $8,000, then that makes a difference. But hopefully with that income you can do it. So usually it's not a problem. But conversely, those same people might not have the down payment. So the good news is now we're going to get into a little bit more of what the programs are out there.
Okay. Yeah.
So you've heard of Minnesota Housing.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. But I don't know much about it.
Right.
I just know it exists.
You know it exists. Okay. So there's Minnesota Housing. There's the NeighborWorks programs. There's MNCE programs. There's individual cities like Richfield has their own. Eden Prairie has their own. Edina had one coming to Edina, but they did suspend that because they just weren't selling enough homes in Edina to keep the program going. So hopefully as the market shifts, and I think it's going to shift next year and the year after, that more of that is going to flip over. So not to get too far in the weeds and come home to Edina, but how that program exists is it's kind of like a profit sharing type of deal. So they'll give you up to like $90,000 down on a home.
Oh, wow.
As long as you meet the parameters of their income limits, and their income limits are pretty high.
Okay.
So you get like 90 grand down. And then as you're paying on the loan, and when you go to sell it, then you do the profit sharing. So they get a portion of that money back.
Oh, sure.
It's like equity sharing.
Yep. Okay.
Problem is nobody's selling in Edina enough for that money to come back in to keep the program going.
Got it.
So for right now, it is suspended.
Okay.
But Plymouth, Minnetonka, they all have some variations of things like that.
Okay.
So they're different ones. The big things, most of the criteria around those are going to be your income limits, right?
Right.
Because the way they look at it too, and I've had, somebody make 200 grand a year and like, I'm a first time home buyer. Why don't I get any of this? I'm like, well, you're a very good first time home buyer with a lot of income.
Right.
So unfortunately we can't, it is designed for people, like there's just not enough money to go around just to give everybody, a handout.
That makes sense. Yeah. I got to help out the lesser out there.
Yeah.
Sure.
So we'll start with the most common Minnesota housing program, which is, they have two of them. So the good news is you don't have to be a first-time home buyer. You can do the step-up program.
Oh, tell me about the step-up program.
Yes. In fact, you can even own a house and buy another house and use the step-up program.
Okay.
Okay. So the step-up program is designed for not first-time home buyers. Let's talk about what is a first-time home buyer. So first-time home buyer is not like, hey, this is the first time. It does not have to be just the first time you've ever bought a house. Let's say you bought a house in 2019 and you sold it in May of 2022. Well, we are in August of 2025. And so you would have over 3 years since you owned a home.
Yes.
That is the criteria of a first-time home buyer. They only go back 3 years. So you do not have to be a true first-time home buyer. So that's key.
Right. Which is another thing I don't think a lot of people realize.
No, not at all. So Minnesota Housing's step-up program allows for you to, let's just say you bought a home, things happen in life, job changes, family changes, divorces, things like that nature. And then you sold a home and now you want to buy another one, but you don't have the money for it, right? You don't have the money to meet the down payment. The step-up program is a monthly payment option. So they'll go up to $18,000. The income limits are higher. It's actually an easier program than the startup program with the true first-time home buyer program. It's a little bit easier, but it is an additional payment that is on your mortgage.
Okay.
So you'd have your first mortgage and now you'd have a second mortgage.
Oh, okay.
So the second mortgage is set up as a 10-year, $18,000, 10-year at the rate of the first mortgage that you get through Minnesota Housing. Minnesota Housing sets their own rates too.
Okay.
Which is nice because then from lender to lender, there is no difference.
Oh, that
Period.
makes sense.
Right. So anybody using Minnesota housing is going to have the same rate.
Okay.
Okay. Excuse me. The the for example, the 10-year amortization schedule, $18,000 is roughly about right now with the 7% conventional loan, 6.625 FHA is what their rates are today, is about $220 a month.
Okay.
So if your first mortgage is $2,200, you'd have another 200 here, so you'd have $2,400 total. So as long as that works within your debt to income, and then it's an actually easy loan. It's up to $18,000. You do have with Minnesota housing, and most programs require some kind of skin in the game. Minnesota housing is just $1,000. So I've had people literally only put $1,000 down to buy a home.
Yeah.
Right? Because the rest of the money came from the minimum down payment and closing costs. And, if you get sellers that contribute to closing costs, you can use some of the more money to buy the put towards the down payment.
Right. Yeah.
To get a lower payment. But you have to have $1,000 into the transaction yourself.
Okay.
Now, when I'm talking to a client, I'm always telling them like, hey, plan for $2,000 because you're going to have inspection, appraisal, and then your $1,000 of like earnest money.
Yeah.
So usually that's how it works.
Okay.
Have I gotten people to do like $500 for earnest money and get a transaction? Yes. It's not as common these days because there's like $500, right?
Right.
Multiple offers. You're not going to win too often on that.
Yeah.
But that is the minimum.
Okay.
So there's some different things. That's the step up program. The startup program is a deferred zero interest payment. And they have two of them. They have a deferred plus and the deferred. The deferred is simply up to $14,000 deferred through the life of the loan.
Okay.
And so if you carried that loan for 30 years, at the end, when you pay off that first mortgage, then you would owe the $14,000 back.
Yep.
Highly unlikely that's ever going to happen. Sale, refinance, that you can pay it off sooner, but it's a zero interest loan, $14,000, right? Wow. So the deferred plus is a little bit extra for like single head of households or household of four or more or someone with a disability. They have 4 different criteria. So it's actually pretty easy to qualify for the deferred plus.
Okay.
But that's up to $18,000 as well. So that can go towards a down payment and closing costs.
That's amazing.
So it works out pretty well. And if, depending on the household, like the purchase price, and they do have limits on the purchase price, and depending on that purchase price, I think it's up to like $500,000 now.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Okay.
So it's significant amount, right? When I started 10 years ago, it was like $6,000 or $4,500. It's come a long ways. But again, the more that these programs do, the more money that gets put into them.
Okay. Yep, that makes sense.
Now, I don't always recommend these programs to everybody if they have their own money, right?
Right.
Because some people want they want to use a program that is available to them, but they have their own money for the down payment assistance. And which is fine. Let's just say your total cash to close is like $22,000, right? And you got 25, right? Well, then you're only left with 3, sure, go ahead. But here's the difference. Minnesota housing is going to carry about a half a point higher rate than the market.
Oh, okay.
About a half a point across the board. So you're trading one thing for another. So
right.
It's the people that come in that have $50,000, $60,000 in the bank and want to use down payment assistance and like, well, you can, but you have to put down like $50,000 of it because you can only have so much left at closing. Again, that's another way to curb everybody wanting to use it and every lender using it and so forth.
Okay, got it. Okay, that makes sense.
So there's a lot There's a lot. I mean, we could get way into the weeds. I've already gone, quite a bit on that.
Yeah.
But that's why, it is where it's a stay in your lane type of deal.
Right.
And you want lenders that know what they're doing with these because they can get screwed up pretty quick.
Absolutely.
you know what it's like. Have you been in a situation where a lender screwed up and
Oh, yes, multiple.
and it's not fun, is it?
No, it's not. No, it pushes things out. It makes for headaches for everybody.
Stress
Sometimes
levels.
tears. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And you have to be able to talk to the clients through. And listen, anybody can make a mistake. Seasoned people can make mistakes.
Sure.
Things can happen. Specifically, I see where mistakes typically happen a lot of times is like you pre-approve somebody and then 4 months later they finally get under contract. And well, a lot can happen in 4 months.
Right.
Job changes that they don't tell you about.
Yes.
What do you mean you got a new job? Like,
Yeah.
tell me about this, right?
Just bought a car.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I totaled out my car and now I have a new car payment.
Yeah.
What's that payment? $890. Okay. So so a lot of different things can happen. So it is what it is. But it's just knowing and having the lanes, you as an agent, knowing that, hey, listen, come on in, let's talk, and let's get you to the right people to be able to get you set up on the financing. The down
Exactly.
payment. I'm going to hit some other highlights of some of the other programs out there, just specifically for everybody out there that's listening. It could be, there is, besides Minnesota Housing with their startup and step up programs, you have MNCEE programs, which are I love using MNCEE. They're super easy. They have their own underwriters and their own stuff that they have to do. So you have to apply with them. Whereas Minnesota Housing, the lender is doing everything.
Oh,
so
okay.
There's no waiting for an approval from Minnesota Housing. So the lender does it.
Okay.
Well, like, MNCE program really does cover a lot of the North Metro. So they have the Blaine program, they have Brooklyn Park, Minneapolis, Columbia Park. So like the Blaine program, if you live or work in Blaine, you get up to $10,000.
Or work. Oh, interesting.
So if you work in Blaine, you can get up to $10,000.
Okay.
Zero interest, deferred, no monthly payments, deferred for 30 years, just like the Minnesota Housing. So you just have to pay it back when you refinance or pay it off. Otherwise, if you're not, you can still get $5,000.
Okay.
So as long as you meet their income limits, they have income limits. It's 1 to 4 unit properties, $450,000 max purchase price.
Wow.
So it's I love their programs because they're pretty decent. But the cities all kind of make the rules to theirs because they do have, like, I've gone through the Minnetonka program with them before, and Minnetonka has a weird program on how they calculate things. So it's I think they've gotten better at it, but before it was like, oh, if you got seller paid closing costs and then you're putting this much in, you can only get this, even though that's because they'll say up to $15,000.
Okay.
So people are thinking they're getting up to $15K, and I've literally had one where we got like $4,000.
Okay.
I'm like, well, we're still short like $5,000. We had to cash some 401k money out to close, and what I hated about that one is that we didn't know that going into it until you send them everything that they do. So you're making an offer blind, not knowing how much you're going to get.
Oh, that's interesting.
I believe they have changed that program now.
Okay.
So it's not that hard anymore because they probably had too many complaints. Because it's just like you're in a transaction and now you're telling somebody they got to bring $5,000 more to the table.
Right.
Yeah. That's not fun.
No.
And as a lender, I mean, I've struggled with that and had some choice words for some people. And like, why can't we have put a calculator up there so we can just put it in?
Yeah.
So we can calculate
Make it a little more transparent.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. But then you got Minneapolis, Columbia Park, Minneapolis Hawthorne. There's the Minnetonka program. So what is the Minnetonka program? Let's check that out here. So that's 0 up to 50,000. 485,000 max purchase price, single family.
Did you say 50? 50
up to 50,000.
Okay.
So there's going to be some terms in here. Loan amount 10% of the purchase price with a maximum of 50K. So it has to be 10% of the purchase price.
Does it have a purchase price limit?
For 485,000.
Okay.
So, which makes zero sense to me if
'Cause you can't.
50K is 10%, 485 doesn't.
The math
See,
ain't
here we are.
mathin'.
There's the math. And I was just specifically talking about Sorry, Minnetonka. Um, uh, so there's a different criteria. So as a lender, I go through these and looking for certain things. So when we know somebody's like, hey, I'm looking in Minnetonka.
Yeah.
Well, great. Here's the program.
Sure.
Right. And then the St. Louis Park is 15,000. City of Richfield is 15,000. But if you live or work there, it's 20,000.
Yeah. Okay.
So Eden Prairie has up to 25,000 now, as well.
Mhm.
So that's the MNCE program. Now the next we have is NeighborWorks. So with the NeighborWorks program, NeighborWorks is a little different too. And some of the things with the NeighborWorks program kind of is tough because they get limited like funds, and their funds kind of run out, and then they're available.
Okay.
And then they run out.
Sure.
And then they're available. The problem that I have with them is that you have to be under contract before you can apply for the loan.
Oh, that throws a wrench into things.
Yes.
Okay.
So that is where it gets scary because, hey, we're pre-approving somebody based on like the city of Shoreview funds, but you apply like so I've had it before, and this is not to discourage everybody, but this is why it's extremely important for lenders to really hone in and know what they're doing. Like when you're putting an offer in, hey, let's look on the website, see if the funds are still available. Because I have had it where funds were available, showing on Saturday. We get under contract. I finally get the contract Tuesday or Wednesday. No funds.
No.
Yes.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
Yes. So what do you do, right? Well, how do we can, the thing is you can shift to like Minnesota housing, right?
Sure.
But with like NeighborWorks, you can just set that up as a second loan, and then they can take advantage of a better rate.
Okay.
Not use the Minnesota housing, but you can put the two together if you need it. So
Okay.
I've had people get $33,000, 18 plus 15,000,
Dang.
so it really works. But having to know what they do. So there's Community Keys program, which is good because they used to have it in just like pockets, all these little red pockets. And you're like, I don't know if this works. And then one side of the street might work, the other side doesn't. Now they blanketed it. It's Hennepin, Ramsey, Washington, Dakota, Anoka.
Oh, okay.
County. So it's across.
All over,
Yes. City of Shoreview, first time home buyer, down payment assistance, the Hennepin County HRA home buyer assistance, Minneapolis Homes, down payment assistance, and then there's the Welcome Home. Right now, Hennepin County has got funds available. Community Keys and City of Shoreview are both limited. So at least they got better at saying limited. So
it's
now
like
you know,
it's
like here's a heads up. We got to find something quick.
Yeah.
And this may or may not work.
Okay.
So those are the majority of the programs. But where we wanted to go with this is to really let people know that yes, there's programs out there. Right.
Yeah.
And as an agent, you want to be able to say, hey, yes, I got the great guy, Brandon.
Yeah.
That can walk you through all of this. But any lender that you trust, that they can navigate these. Because there is a lot of navigation to them too.
For sure. You just got to find the one that's going to take the time to do the research and bring up the right programs for you. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And just having experience, because there's the nuances to these programs too, is like specifically with Minnesota housing, $1,000 of money down out of your own pocket it's got to be qualified, verified assets.
Oh, yes.
So the problem that you have with Minnesota housing and a lot of people is where I see it a lot in different communities is that you got a lot of Cash App, Venmos, sending money back and forth to family members for lunch, this or that. All those deposits can add up fast and they will not count towards your minimum investment. So I've seen, where people have like $2,000 going back and forth, from a family member, mom, dad, whoever, right?
Oh, and that
doesn't count. Only your money coming from, your employment counts or IRS, something along that lines.
Okay.
So let's say, for example, you have $3,000 in your account and you have $1,200 of cash deposits, Venmos or whatever. I sold, you get an explanation. Oh, I sold a welder for $450 for cash, and I put that in my account, right? Okay, well, let's take the $450 out. The earnest money is $2,000.
Yeah.
You had $3,000, take the $450. Now we had a bunch of Venmos. Now you're below the $2,000 before the earnest money, and now that earnest money doesn't count anymore.
Oh, wow.
So now you have to make up that difference in actual pay.
Sure.
So as a lender, what I usually do when I get there, when I'm pre-approving, is reviewing those bank statements or asking them, like, frankly, right off the bat, like, hey, we can use Minnesota Housing. Let me ask you this. Do you have a lot of cash deposits? Do you have Venmos and Cash Apps and like all these things going back and forth? If they say yes, I'm like, okay, let's figure out.
We got to get creative.
Yes. And, the nice thing is Minnesota Housing is pretty good because you can, they just want to see that you have a clean balance. And they also want to make sure, and part of the reason behind it is that it's income limit driven.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'll tell you a story here of, somebody that literally went and bought books on garage sales and then would sell them on eBay.
Oh.
And then he would deposit money into his account, right? Yeah. So he had a separate account for that, but he transferred money from that account right before the earnest money. And I never knew about this account in the first place, right? So we had these clean accounts over here, right? But then he had an earnest money of $2,500, so he transferred like $1,000 from this other account. Like, hey, what's this account? So then you get that account. Like, what are all these deposits from? Well, I buy and sell books on eBay. Like, oh my God.
Oh,
like,
no.
Okay, so how much do you make? Well, like a couple $100 a month, like $200-300. I think the most he ever made was like $400.
Sure.
But it's income limits, right? So you have to verify their employment income. And now you have income from over here. So we had to go back 12 bank statements from that account. Every deposit say sold book on eBay.
Oh, no.
Sold book on eBay. Every single one sold book on eBay. And total it all up just so we were below the income limits.
Okay. Wow. So what if it's just like a one-off, like I had a garage sale and sold a bunch of stuff?
Yeah. So as long as you can say, hey, a letter of explanation, like, hey, this is. So the other thing usually on that too is like, oh, we got a Schedule C tax return. Because if they're W-2 employees, you don't have to get tax returns anymore. Right. So you don't know that, right?
Yeah.
You got their W-2s,
but
you don't have the tax returns.
Okay.
Well, now we need the tax return. There's a Schedule C. He's got this separate line item for $4,000 last year from selling books.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. If they're good enough to do that.
Right.
No, there's not many people that always do that. But then that's how you can find it. But again, I wasn't anticipating that, right?
Right.
I never heard that. And he wasn't thinking it was real income because it's like a couple $100 a month.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? It was more of a hobby to him than anything.
Sure.
It's like, I buy a book for 50 cents and I sell it for like $7.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure there are a lot of instances out there like that.
Yeah. So as long as you can explain, because I've had numerous people like, hey, I don't sell welders every day, right? I had one welder and I sold it.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
And so you can say, yes, this is not a normal
Got it. Yeah.
activity. So you can do that. It's just that money doesn't count towards your earnest money or your minimum investment of $1,000. So you have to, and again, like I've done enough of them. So, you get pretty good at doing them and setting up in the beginning so you don't have that problem. Because we had that problem, once we started getting new bank statements.
Oh, sure.
I see the transaction history and I said, well, what's this account, right? And like, So we sat down for like 2 hours one day. I had him come in and meet me. And like, we just literally like because he had money going in and out of there because you'd use that money to buy additional things or whatever, but you had to go through every deposit.
Dang.
It was fun. But I mean, that's just some of the examples, again, of a lender knowing. And again, I learned the hard way too.
Sure.
And but that example there, he didn't know any better,
Yeah.
right? And like,
Yeah.
well, we were, at the time when we pre-approved somebody, when you get a bank statement, let's say the balance ends, on the 31st, shows they have $3,500 in their account.
Mhm.
Guess their rent's like $1,800
Mhm.
the next day. That doesn't clear, so you're thinking you have a $3,500 in the account. And then all of a sudden you're writing like now that balance is not 3,500 anymore, it's 1,700, but now they have a $2,000 earnest money.
Oh, yeah.
So there's the fine line of doing that. But again, it just goes back to really understanding how that works from the financial side. And I don't expect agents to ever understand that. And that's not, you guys have enough to worry about on your side.
Yeah.
But understanding that, so that way when we get into
Mhm.
a transaction, that it's a clean transaction, it's easy and smooth and so forth, and
Right. Yep.
that way there's no stress,
Yes, exactly. No
limiting the stress,
surprises.
no
Yeah.
surprises. And I've learned over the years that surprises aren't great.
No, they're not.
This summer I've had more seller surprises than I've ever had, where the sellers didn't have things ready for the house, or this, like, oh, we didn't have the city inspection, now we had this, and like
Oh,
I had one guy never pull any permits on the house, and the city found out, as they're selling it, because they had to have
oh,
it was
no.
in crystal.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh,
And
no.
we canceled after 2 months because they had to tear the house apart. They had to have licensed electricians, plumbers, and like they had to tear a wall almost completely down that they had,
Wow.
because they moved walls.
That
Right.
is
They did
heartbreaking.
right. And the house was, beautiful, but then they got in there like, well, none of it was done right
Oh,
because the
no.
homeowner did most of it by himself.
Great.
So we end up canceling. Fortunately, I have another buyer that is close to, it's almost done now. And he's trying to buy it as an investment property. We're trying to get enough cash down to buy it
Okay.
because it's investment. He needs to have 20% and plus.
Yeah.
So we may get it. I don't know. I'm going to find out later this week.
Well, good luck on that.
But yeah, so my other client that was on it. She had canceled on 2 houses because of sellers issues.
Really?
So this third one that we got, we're closing next week and just got clear to close this morning. So
Oh, wow. Congrats.
right, we were clear to close once, except the seller wasn't ready.
Oh my
And then,
gosh.
yeah, that was the issue.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm getting in the weeds on all this other stuff. Do you have any other comments to make about like first time home buyers, or, people being ready or anything like that?
One thing I did want to talk about is that seller paid closing costs are coming back. They are more of a thing these days. Back in, a few years ago when everything was in multiples, seller paid closing costs were not a thing. And because you were in competition with 5, 10, 20 other people, and so you had to, have your offer tight. But now as getting into a more level playing field, seller paid closing costs are coming back. So I don't know how that plays into these programs, but it's still an option to make, buying a house a little more affordable.
That's a very good point. Specifically, we're in August right now,
Mhm.
right? The slower times are coming up,
Yes.
and already we have more supply of homes,
Mhm.
which is good.
It
And I
is.
do feel part of it right now is that everybody's watching the news for rates to drop. They're like on the verge, like, we're going to get this rate drop, right? I don't think we're going to get as big of a rate drop. I think it's going to drop over time.
Yeah,
That
just
people
a
are
little
expecting to be
here.
like, hey, we're going to go from 6.5 to 5.75.
Yeah.
It would be amazing if it did, but I don't think
Right.
that's going to happen. So it does make it a little better buyer's market.
Yep.
I think most of my clients are getting seller paid closing costs right
Yeah.
now.
Yep.
Because homes are sitting a little bit longer.
Mhm.
So at least asking for them.
Yes.
There's
Exactly.
there's strategy behind it too. We had one last week where, we went list price with seller paid 3%,
Right.
and they came back counter offered at list price with 1.5, but they also said we will go to $5,000 more. We need 10,000.
Yeah.
We'll go 5,000 over list,
Mhm.
and then 3%.
Yeah, well, that seems fair. I have a listing right now, and we got an offer for $30,000 under list, and they wanted 3% seller paid closing costs. And my seller was just he got really upset. And
Right.
he's just like, no, he didn't even want to counter.
No,
Like, no,
no.
it's just offensive. So,
Right.
got to be smart with those
Yeah.
offers and
That's the unfortunate side because, as an agent, when you have the buyers like that, and I as a lender, I hear it and like, hey, how'd the offer go? Well, we went with 30,000 under and 3%. I'm like, they didn't even entertain it, right?
yeah,
No, I mean
exactly.
it's kind of a slap in the face,
It is.
like, and then as a lender, sometimes I'll have a conversation like, hey, put yourself in the seller's shoe,
Mm-hmm.
like, and I don't want to hear that they owned it for 10 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they own it for nothing, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't want to hear that. That's still it's the market value, assuming that the listing agent, put the number on the house that it should sell at,
Correct.
like, right,
Mm-hmm.
is they did their due diligence in the comps,
Mm-hmm.
then that should be the number, right? But
Right.
coming in, 30 grand, and as an agent, if you have that buyer, because I've seen it from the lending side, but all agents come across that,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're like, well, we just got to get them to write. And then I call the agent like, hey, I know this one's not going to be great, but I had to get him to write,
Yes,
right? At least there's that kind
exactly.
of
Right.
conversation,
Yes.
be like, so it's not like it's not the agent's fault. Because again, it's the buyers, it's their, the agent's not, doesn't tell them what to hear,
No,
what
we're
you have to,
advisors.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. This is what you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, with that being said, though, inspections,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So 5-day, 10-day inspections and being able to negotiate from there, those all went away for a long time,
Yes. Right.
right? And lots of issues came up
Lots of
after the
issues.
fact, right? Um, and then, not having to worry about so much as gap appraisals,
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
now there's been plenty of homes recently too that are priced under the market.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're purposely priced under the market
Right.
so they can drive that multiple offer situation. And then you're going back to it.
Mm-hmm.
And usually it's those homes that are like turnkey, absolutely turnkey ready.
I was just gonna say that. Yes, people nowadays expect the perfect homes, perfection. Everything is done, everything is updated and shiny and new. And that's like I was working with a buyer and they wanted to put in an offer on a house in Plymouth. It was a 2-bedroom house and it had 6 offers. And this was just, a few weeks ago. And no inspection and all the things back in the day, but it's the houses that are pretty,
Right. For
ready to
sure.
go.
For
Nobody
sure.
wants to do the work.
Right. Right. Um, well, anyway, I think this has been very informational, I hope, to people out there to understand what the market's doing right now, what to kind of anticipate. I think in the springtime, you might see a lot more of that problem. And specifically, we're in this weird period where let me preface this to say, too, there isn't anybody out there that knows what rates are going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Is it widely anticipated that rates are going to be lower? Because, well, the current administration, they want to refinance $37 trillion at a much lower interest rate. So they're pushing heavy on it.
Yes.
But there's so many other outside factors, outside
Absolutely.
investments, the bond markets, who's putting money, who's taking money out. Like all these outside factors dictate what those rates are going to do. So we may not see 5.5 interest rates. We may not see 6% interest rates. Do we think it's going to happen? Yes.
Do we hope it's going to happen? Also, yes.
Yes. I do know if we get a deceleration in rates really fast, it's going to probably like kick that market back in place where you're not getting that anymore.
Right.
So if you are
going to go up again.
Yep. If you are one of the people out there that are waiting for rates to drop so you can buy the house, I think it really doesn't. I think that's not the best approach, because I think if it drops enough to where like, hey, it's 5.75 in this short of period of time, then you might have a problem with that affordability again, because now that house isn't 400, it might be 430. So
Right.
you just lost 30 grand, and buying power there,
Yeah.
right? Whereas if you bought it at 400 and they do drop,
Mm-hmm.
then you can refinance, right?
Yes, exactly. And think of all the buyers that are sitting around waiting for the exact same thing that are going to flood the market. How many are you going to be in competition with then? And yeah, again, the no inspections, and that's kind of scary.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is. And that's what you, and that if you, right now, this is the time of year that I love the most for buyers, period, because you do have the power to come in and
Right.
ask for things.
Yeah.
And so, my favorite time, which is the slowest time, is December and January, because for the last few years, for sure, like, oh, we got 10 grand below list and 3%.
Exactly. Yes.
They didn't get 30. But
Yeah. Yeah. It's all on how you look at it, I suppose. I mean,
yeah,
the people that are waiting for the lower interest rates, I just think that I don't think that it's the right thing to do if you're trying to save money, if that's your goal.
right. No, and it's historically over time, whether you paid 410 for the house or 420, and then 10 years later, did that 410 and 420 when the house is worth 510,
Mm-hmm.
did that make, I mean, obviously it's $10,000 makes a difference,
Yeah.
but I do think that we're in this market specifically. There's other markets, Florida market, go down there and name your price on a house, right?
Yeah.
Because they had so many people buying second homes and
Right.
Airbnbs and like all these different things down there, and that market kind of changed.
Yeah.
A lot of people were having difficulties with homeowners insurance down there. So
Right.
you
Since
got
the
like
hurricanes,
there's
yeah.
yes. So you have a lot of issues down there per se, but the Metro Minneapolis Twin Cities market is been pretty good. It's one of the highest in the nation
Mm-hmm.
for the keeping the value of the home together.
Sure.
So there's the Northeast, kind of East Coast and Northeast, like, and Minneapolis all have like the highest concentration of buying advantage or um seller's advantage right now.
Okay. Yeah.
Some of the other markets have way lower, where it is more of a buyer's market.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think right now we're in that period of time, like just if you can afford the house,
Right.
if you can afford the down payment and you can afford the monthly
Mm-hmm.
payment and it works within your budget, you can if rates come down, you can refinance.
Yeah.
But waiting is likely just going to cost more,
Agreed.
specifically if you're renting.
Yes. Agreed.
Yep. Well, Mallory, it's great to have you on again.
Always great to chat.
Yes. I appreciate it. I wish you the best the rest of this year.
Thank you. You as well.
Thank you. Anybody wants to reach out to Mallory, please check the links below. Do you want to give out your email address?
Oh, sure. It is Mallory, Mallory, at yourbstfriends.com.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Mallory. For all you out there, please like and subscribe and feel free to reach out.